Hello and welcome to our latest episode of the Mindset X Factor podcast. We're very happy to have this next discussion with you. We've got obviously myself, the CEO of MCA Training International, and then also Dave Boreham, who's the founder of MCA Training International and currently our executive chairman. So nice to have you on the call with us, Dad, as always, and looking forward to our discussion today. So today, what we're going to be talking about is quite an exciting topic. It's about embracing change and adapting to life's transitions. So I think to get the ball rolling, maybe we can just get it out of the way and we can all agree that change is inevitable, right, Dad?
Oh yeah, indeed, indeed. They always say it's that the only thing that's guaranteed is death and taxes.
Yeah, exactly. We're change is going to happen. It's things are changing all the time, and I think maybe you can share with us a little bit about just how much I think today change happens in the world we live in, and so on. So just so that we can sort of get an idea of the inevitability of this change.
Yeah, it's a good question. They often talk about the VUCA world, VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world that we operate in. And so, as you quite correctly stated at the start, that change is inevitable, and trying to resist that change is what causes more problems than anything else. Our lives changed dramatically when on the 25th of October 2007, we lost your brother and my son when he was the age of 17. And that's been something we've had to obviously learn to deal with. And these sort of changes, whether they be losing a loved one, whether they be dealing with the environment, whether it's the pandemic of COVID that's really shocked most people into realizing that things can change at the click of a button, so to speak, and that's really the reality of it. And I think the question is more along the lines when we talk about resilience and coaching executives to be resilient, dealing with resilience, is not the fact that we are going to go through change. It's how we learn to adapt and to deal with that change that's important.
Yeah. And it's probably having that sort of attitude and that mentality that will help you to deal with that change. I think if we'll probably speak a little bit more about all the stages and the things that we have to work through as we go through change. But I think the more we try to deny it and resist it, the worse it becomes for us, obviously. So yeah, change is inevitable. We got to learn to embrace that and just deal with it and accept that. How then do we work through change? How do we embrace change? How do we adapt to this change that is happening around us all the time?
Yeah, I think that we talk about the four phases of change, and we always know that a lot of people resist change, and that's one of the phases. That's the sort of denial almost that people go through. So we go through this sort of feeling of it's almost unreal. It hasn't really happened to me. It doesn't. It's just surreal. It doesn't. Hasn't sort of registered that this is really where I am, and this is really what's
Yeah,
happening, and now I've got to deal with it. And then we go into really what the resistance is. We resist this whole thing, and emotions like anger, and being upset, fear, anxiety, frustration, insecurity, all those sort of emotions come to the fore. And your emotions can be up and down and all over the place, especially,
yeah,
I know when we lost Calvin, it was the emotion to me was, geez, it was all over the place.
like
You
a
one
roller
minute
coaster.
yeah, it's like a roller. Everything's all over the place, and
Yeah,
and 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 that's natural. That's part of the whole process of change. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't go through what we call the curve of change. And the curve of change is that, yes, it's happened. I've accepted now that this is what's happened to me, be it I've been transferred to a different country or a different city, or I've been retrenched, or I've lost a loved one, or I'm going through a divorce, or whatever it might mean. This is what's happened now. Now let me explore what I can do with the situation. And so the third stage is exploration, where we start to explore, in this city that I've been transferred to, they have this I can do and that I can do. And there's so many things that are going on there, and the weather's much better, and so on. So it starts to give hope to people. And then you begin what we call the new beginning, the I've accepted the change, I've embraced this change, and now I'm setting my goals to move forward in my life and move on with my life. And I think that those two other stages, the two, exploration and the new beginning, have to be completed for the change process to go through. But a lot of people stay, unfortunately, in this victim stage where, poor me, this has happened to me. I'm the victim. Nobody cares about me. Nobody loves me. Poor me, God doesn't care. All these sort of things that go on in the mind of when we go through that. Now, in saying that, everybody has a right to grieve. Everybody has a right to feel sorry for themselves, if you like. They don't have a right to stay there, because in the staying there is where the challenges of life become. And that resistance to life and the victim mentality and the pain body that goes with that are unfortunately what people become if they don't go
Yeah.
through the curve.
Yeah. And I think it's sort of a cliche to say, but it's the longer you stay in that place, the harder it is to get out. But and it might sound like like I said, the cliche to say it, but it is the truth, and I think my next question then is, why do people find it so hard to get out of that, to work through this resistance and through this denial and this accepting and that sort of thing? Where does the challenge come in that? Because it seems like a lot of people do struggle with that, and perhaps sort of maybe run away from it instead of trying to embrace it and accept it. And why is that?
Well, there are a couple of reasons for that. I think that one of the most important reasons for that is that I remain a victim. And victim mentality means I don't have to take responsibility to change my situation. I can blame. So I can blame the weather, I can blame the government, I can blame my spouse, I can blame my children, I can blame the dog, I can blame my boss, or whatever the case may be, but it's not me. And if it's not me, I've surrendered my locus of control. I've surrendered my ability to do something about changing it. In
Yeah,
other words, I'm handing it over to somebody else, and I'm saying I'm powerless in this process of change. Whereas if the mindset, as you quite correctly said earlier on, if the mindset is one of, yes, this has happened to me, it's not pleasant or whatever it might be, what can I learn from this? Where can I change this? What caused it, and why am I not able to deal with it effectively? And do I need help? Do I need to go and see a coach or a counselor or a psychologist or somebody who can help me move past it if I need that? And I think that these things are very, very important to understand, that if I stay in a victim mentality, nothing changes. It gets worse, as you quite correctly said. And so developing self-care, developing understanding that it's okay. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel emotionally down, etc., etc. But it's not okay to stay there. My responsibility is to work through the change process. And the
yeah,
and the beauty and the beauty is that everybody has the power to do that, because
yeah,
that's your state of mind.
yeah,
You're only one.
100%.
Mark Batterson said, Raynor, that you're only one defining decision away from a totally different life. That's how powerful we are.
Yeah,
Just one decision. I'm going to do something about this today. And it doesn't have to be a big thing in the beginning.
yeah. So it's almost like the easy way out, right? It's like a cop out. It's seen that because it doesn't take a lot of effort, it doesn't take a lot of sacrifice it doesn't take a lot of work to just say, it's not my fault, it's whoever's fault or whatever's fault. And obviously I love the saying that says, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. So yeah, it is the easy way out right now for the present. But the thing is, that's what makes your life a lot harder, because now, like you said, you're powerless. You can't do anything about it. And so you'll stay in that state and in that cycle of being powerless, and you'll never embrace the change. You'll never grow. You'll never move out of that. So you'll be stuck in that state of feeling, overwhelmed or confused or angry, or all these emotions that you feel in that stage of this change. And then that has all other effects on your psyche, your attitude, your how you see yourself, your confidence, which are all very important things for us to have and to develop. And so, but the thing is, if you do what is hard, you take that effort now to work through the change and to go through the curve as you've explained it to us, then your life becomes easier and easier, because now you have the confidence to deal with whatever the world has to throw at you. So next time a curveball comes your way, you're more experienced and more equipped to deal with that, and you have the confidence that I can work through this. And that's the wonderful thing about it, is that, as you correctly said, that's the power we have to do that. It's whether we're willing to accept that or not. And I think that's where the challenge comes in, is many people don't want to put in the effort now. They just want the quick fix. They just want things done for them. And we need to change that. We need to know
Yeah, and I think,
that it's
and
it's
I, and I
it's up to us. Yeah.
And I think also it's understanding that it doesn't have to change overnight. It's a
Yeah.
process. It's a process. You build one step upon the next, and that's what builds capacity. If you're unfit and you go into a gym and they ask you to do, 30, 40 bench presses or something to that effect, you wouldn't be able to do it. But if you start with maybe two or three, you could handle that. And then that builds upon the next. And eventually you're doing the 20, 30 bench presses, etc. And so I think it's really a matter of understanding that it's a process of going
Yeah.
through that change cycle, so to speak.
Yeah. So you need that patience as well, which is really, really important. Something that a lot of people struggle with. I know I struggle with the patience part as well. But
I
that's
think
yeah,
we all do.
that's part of life. That's part of life, um, and it's a lot of that journey that we need to appreciate, because that's where a lot of the learning is happening. And when we look back on it, that's what we remember with more fondness than anything else. Is that we've been through that refiner's fire, as it were, and we've worked through that, and it's the discovery of the journey and what happened through the journey that ultimately is normally the most rewarding part of it. So
Indeed.
yeah, definitely. But I think as well, maybe just as a reminder to people that are struggling with change, and I mean, it happens all the time. You spoke about something that we went through as a family. I think something that everyone can relate to, that we as a world went through, was when the COVID pandemic hit us. It was certainly something that I haven't experienced in my lifetime. We've had sort of things like this happening throughout history, but and it's going to happen again, something like that. I mean, that's the history has shown that it's going to happen again. And we could see how different people adapted to that, to exactly like you said, those four stages. There was the denial, there was the confusion, there was people not sure what to do with it. There was all going out and buying loads of toilet paper. For what reason? No one knew. It was just this craziness at the time, until we started to understand it more, and we went through that transitioning phase and that exploration phase, seeing how we could live with this pandemic, how or maybe the vaccines that came about, and just practicing safe distance, all these sort of things. We started to become more and more aware of how to deal with it, until we eventually we're back to normal. We found a way to embrace it and have it as part of our lives. And COVID is now, it's just like another sickness, like flu, these days. So we work through these sort of transitions, and I think we can all understand and appreciate what you've shared with us. But I think there are still people that perhaps are going through change, and there are people that are going through changes in their lives and perhaps that are struggling to work through those things. I think my recommendation, and I'm sure your recommendation would be, is to then go look for help, whether it's through with a therapist or counselor or even a coach. That's something that we do, and if you want to use us as your coaches, you're welcome to do that, or someone that you trust, whoever that is. But if you find that you're really struggling through that, there's nothing wrong with looking for help as well, getting someone in your corner. I think that can really, really be a great resource to you. So that if that is something that you're struggling with, please reach out to someone and get them to help you through that, because so imperative that we are able to work through that curve that you shared with us, because the longer we stay at that very first stage, that resistance and that denial, the more and more it will eat away at us, and the more dangerous it becomes for us as well.
Indeed, 100%. Yeah, and I think that support through any change process is important. And that's why often in business, teams that can work effectively together and are cohesive in their process are obviously the teams that deal with change far more effectively. So I couldn't add to your advice. So thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Dad. Really appreciate your words of wisdom once again, and your understanding on this and your points of view on this. We really appreciate that.
I just think, Raynor, that just one thing before we finish the
Yeah,
podcast, I think
please.
also an important aspect of dealing with change effectively, this VUCA world that everybody refers to, is having a purpose, knowing your why. Why am I on this planet? What am I here to do? What is my reason for my existence? So that when you have these curveballs hitting you at different stages in your life, your purpose, your values are able to create that incredible compass and that foundation and that anchor that allows you to be able to deal with these things so much more effectively.
Very, very true. Thank you for leaving us with that. So, and I think that's a great way to end off the podcast. So thank you for that. Thank you to everyone who has joined and listened. Again, if you like what you heard, please share it, like and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you're listening or watching it on. And remember so that you can join in on our other podcasts that will be coming along. We've got some exciting topics up for discussion moving forward, some guests that will be coming on. So we're very, very excited for where this podcast is going. So like, subscribe, and please share it with others so that they can benefit from what we discussed on these episodes. So thank you so much. Remember, know who you are, know what you want, go out and get it. Stop making excuses. Have fun and have courage. Unleash the champion inside and never, ever give up. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.